Your first question that you sent to me had me up half the night, like in worship. I said, Samory, get on my nerves.
That happens.
You know how I feel about my sleep. You said, what's your story? I said, well, Lord, what story she want? Do she want the teenage mother story, the rape story, the broken woman story, the depressed story, the suicide story, or maybe she wanted the story about Samory, having a child and then God taking him away 3 weeks later. I said, so she said, what's your story? And the Holy Spirit said to me, all of that's your story. That's those stories and many more made you the woman you are today.
Correct. Welcome back to the Shattered Hole podcast, where we talk, feel, and heal by doing what? Acknowledging our hurt, claiming our healing, and living as a new creation. I'm always honored, blessed, and excited that you are here. And guess what? Just like any other episode, we are here to do some healing and to talk our truth. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So listen, I have an amazing guest with me today, my sister, my boo thing, Stephenie Williams. Would you welcome her, boy? Come on here. I be hype, guys. Listen, this amazing woman right here, has an abundance of different stories that has accumulated into this victorious shell and awesomeness of a person, but has impacted so many people who are impacted and touched by her. She's not selfish, even when she's tired. She's not selfish, even when she is in the mess herself. She still sees you. She still hears you. She still loves on you. And that's the kind of person that you want in your healing circle. So we're going to talk about from mess to message. And I know, and we're not going to cute the mess. we're not going to cute the mess. And we're not going to downplay the message. But first, Stephenie, would you say hello to the folks and tell them about you?
Hey. For those of y'all that don't know me, Hey, my name is Stephenie Williams. I'm just a regular old Joe that's been through some stuff. A whole lot of stuff that have made me the woman I am today. Who am I? Stephenie. I would say a mother, a daughter, but those are my titles. Who Stephenie really is? Stephenie is that person that just want to help, just want to assist people, and for them not to go through all that I went through. That's who Stephenie is. Yeah.
And the way that she shrunk all of the things, but it is a demonstration of her character. All of the titles that she has birth experiences that allowed her into different doors. But the caliber of beauty that she is those titles don't matter. We are person to person. We are heart to heart. We are mind to mind. We are brokenness to brokenness, and we are triumphant to triumphant. You know, and even if we're not in that same lane together, I'm going to help you, and then I'm going to allow you to help me. I wanted to bring you on for a number of things, because here's what I had one idea. My one idea, right, was to talk about your foundation, Samory's Way.
Samory's Way.
I know it sounds like my name, but it's not. Samory's Way, and the journey of how you got there. But I am a very obedient child.
I love that. No, I love that.
And whatever you were led to say, we gonna go there. And because nothing is by accident, and this is good ground.
Amen.
We pray and we make sure that before we even get started, I ask God what he wants and what he needs, because these are his people.
Exactly. Yep.
These are his people, and I don't play with you. So we can talk about Samory, and that will come. But go ahead.
Your first question that you sent to me had me up half the night, like in worship. I said, Samory, get on my nerves.
That happens.
You know how I feel about my sleep. You said, what's your story? I said, well, Lord, what story she want? Do she want the teenage mother story, the rape story, the broken woman story, the depressed story, the suicide story? Or maybe she want the story about Samory, having a child and then God taking him away 3 weeks later. I said, so she said, what's your story? And the Holy Spirit said to me, all of that's your story. That's those stories and many more made you the woman you are today.
Correct.
And that's why you have no problem with being bold when it comes to telling what people say is my business. It's not my business. Everything I've been through, that's God's business.
Right.
He got me through it. It's his business. So when I get on, social media and I tell my story, God just say, hey, do this, do that. And my family be mad sometimes. They be like, why are you telling your business? People gonna judge you. Okay.
All right.
That's all right. But I'm helping someone.
Right.
And sometimes I get discouraged and I'm like, yeah, God, I'm getting tired of telling my business. And God said, but I thought you said it was my business. The other day, Samory, he told me to do a live on TikTok. I had on pajamas. I had a scarf on my head, y'all.
Indeed.
I said, Lord, I'll do it, but I ain't getting dressed. I'm not putting on no wig. I'm not getting cute. He said, do a live on TikTok. And you came up there briefly. The young lady I was talking to not only lost her daughter, but her father 2 weeks apart.
Jesus.
That live was all about her. We exchanged numbers and been talking all week. So me going up on TikTok or any social media platform, telling my story about, I should say our story, Samory and I, our story about his birth, then his death. It's not only for me.
Correct.
I felt like when he died, like, God, how you want to do that? Like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? Not understanding that it was a part of my destiny. And my son came for the 3 weeks. He did what he had to do, and he died empty. He died empty. Because I can still remember the people that gave their lives over to God, and some of them are still walking with him 22 years later. So he came and he did his job.
Right.
So I'm going to tell everybody and anybody who will listen about the hell that I've been through.
Right.
If I could avoid them from going through it.
Yeah. It's complicated. That because there's someone who is listening and saying that you're not going to tell me that my child came for 3 weeks and that their life was done at that time, even though people came to God during that time. And what it really is it feels like God is a monster. If he can allow that kind of experience, because did you care about me or my child and what it would do to us mentally and emotionally, to have that kind of experience? And then here's the tussle. We don't know what we don't know, but we do have to hold to what we do know. Understanding, because I also lost my twins, and for a while, the conversation that I had with God was, but I begged you. But God, I begged you. You know, my son died before my daughter did. And I was like, when my son died, he was sick. He had spina bifida and water on the brain. And honestly, though I wanted God to heal him, when he passed, I understood that it was mercy. But I couldn't accept it the same for my daughter. Because she could have been, she could have been well. You could have healed her. And I would hear stories afterward of babies who were at the same stage as I was, and that they would survive. So I was like, so you can do this, and you haven't. But in that moment, I had my daughter in my arms just for a couple of hours. And I remember distinct movements that she did during that time. One, they were like she was going to be stillborn. I gave birth to her and she kicked me in the nana. And I was like, and I literally was like, as soon as I had her, I started crying. And she kicked me, and I literally, like, if it was like a cartoon, it was like zoop. And I was like, wait a minute. She kicked. And they were like, no, you know, it's just, you know, involuntary response. But it wasn't. And they were like, do you want to hold her? And I held her, and her skin was still transparent. I could actually see her heart. And I remember her ear was underdeveloped. She had this long jet black hair. She was my complexion, but didn't look nothing like me. It was very rude. It was very rude. I did the work. She looked like her father. And all I can remember is her tiny, tiny hand holding my pinky as she took her last breath. And I was so I wasn't angry. I was disappointed with God. That's a different kind of hurt.
Different. People don't understand that.
It is a different kind of hurt to be disappointed in God, that he would allow your heart to open, because when you have there's a level of love that is unlocked that you didn't experience previous to their life. So you opened my heart to this level of love and didn't allow me to keep the person who opened it. So as you can, in retrospect, see that even in the short period of his life that he had purpose, did you also see that even though you were disappointed with God, that he also could use any situation and make it purposeful?
At the time, no.
Yeah.
I wasn't disappointed in God. I hated him. I cussed him. I told him I was turning Muslim. I was so angry. I'm like, yeah, Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to be Muslim. I ain't serving the God that y'all serve. I told my brother this. I'm not serving him if he could do this to me. And I was angry for a long time. I was so angry and bitter that when I thought I wasn't angry and bitter, I was still angry and bitter with God. It took me years to started seeing things another way.
Yeah.
One of the ways I started seeing it is people that have not been through what we've been through cannot minister the way we minister. They can't. You can't. I'll give you a prime example. When my son died, the doctors was like, "Oh, you need to go see a grievous counselor." Da, da, da. I said, "Okay, I'm gonna do that." This little young girl.
Oh, I'm still pissed at my grievous counselor. I was like, if you don't get out my room.
Ooh, I cussed her out.
Sure did.
I was about to two-piece her, and I said, Stephenie, you don't want to go to jail. You don't want to go to jail. You don't want to do that.
True. They make you take off your wig.
Yeah. Your wig. They want to do, And God should be favored with that, too. I mean, I don't know how you get locked up and they don't do no cavity check. I mean, the lady was so nice to me. She was so nice. But that's another story for another day. And this young lady came in and she's telling me how I should feel. And it wasn't one of us. So I was real mad. Like, you're not even, and you trying to tell me. So I asked her, I said, is your mom still alive? She said, yeah. I said, your father? She said, yeah. I said, you have any siblings? She said, no, I'm the only child. I said, get the out my face, because you can never understand how I feel. And she looked at me. Oh, but I went to school for... I said, you got 2.2 seconds to leave. I said, you know what, I'm going to leave. And I got up and I left. And I was just so... Now I'm mad at God all over again. So you took my son. Now I can't get the help that I need. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
And for years, I was just depressed. And I learned about seasonal depression. I thought, okay, I'm good. I'm good. From August 30th. No, let's say August 23rd, I would be depressed, severely depressed. From August 23rd, the day I went into labor, all the way to September 16th. I would come back to work on the 17th like nothing. I would be back to myself. Ooh. And one day my boss said, I think you're suffering from seasonal depression. I didn't know such thing as that. And I was suffering from seasonal depression. But I still would not go to counseling because of that first experience. Would not go to counseling. I refused. I was like, I'll do this by myself. And one day I was just sitting there like, God, for real? Like, what are we doing? And God said to me, I took Samory. This was his exact words. I took Samory to get your attention. I'm going to take Brian to get your undivided attention. I said, what? So Samory was 3 weeks, and I know how I feel. I had Brian for 12, 13 years. Are you serious right now? I said, okay. So I thought I just had to give my life over to him, and he'll leave me alone. That'd be it. That's when it all started. And it was like, you have to start looking at things differently. You can stay in your mess, and you can stay in your bitterness, or you can turn it around. And don't get me wrong, it didn't happen right away. It was years. I had to take baby steps. It was years. Every time I thought I was good, I would retreat back. But one day I had to say, do you want to stay in this place?
Yeah.
Or do you really want to help people? Which one? Do you really want to stay in this place? Or do you really... You saying that you helping people, but do you really want to help people? And this was no talk between me and God. This was a self-talk. Do you really want to help people, Stephenie? Then you got to get you together. And I was like, wow, how do I do that? Counseling. So I get married, and like 6 months later, we in counseling. Didn't we do this counseling already? Not knowing that God was going to use that couple counseling for me to do individual counseling.
To open the door.
To open the door.
Yeah. I want to say this to the people who are in the role of counseling, therapist. I know that you yourself have these experiences where the role that you have decided to take on is daunting in itself, because you hear the horrors of everyone you encounter. Rarely are you listening to the delight and the wonders of that person's world that you are counseling, because especially not in the African American culture, is it normal to just see a therapist as a part of our healthcare regimen. It is usually when we are at the brink of a mental break, or already have had a mental break, that we go and that we see you. But can I remind you, encourage you of two things? There was a simple principle that was taught to me when I worked in retail. And you probably like, what the heck does 2 got to do with 4? Hold on. Pay attention. In retail, if you've ever worked it, you see the worst of people, because there is this mentality and attitude of you are just servants for my pleasure, desire, and need. And what happens is sometimes you get people who are really nice and kind, and other times you get people who are at their depths and at their nastiest. But when the nastiest person that you've ever dealt with leaves and the next person comes, it is not okay for you to treat the person next like they were the person who were the nastiest.
Absolutely.
And what I have found to happen with some counselors, therapists, coaches, and otherwise, there is a bleeding that is happening on your clients when they already came to you wounded.
Yes.
And on the one hand, this is your job. But on the other hand, these people are at the brink of a mental disaster, an emotional disaster, and your actions are so paramount to how they will then move forward. It is so important. I remember it took me until I was, how old am I? 38. I'll be asking Leighton. It took me to about maybe 3 years ago to finally see a therapist, because the first 2 encounters that I had with a therapist was when I was a child and I was in foster care, and I had a therapist that you had to see, and your therapist is not supposed to tell your caseworker, your foster parent, what you talked about.
Right.
I told my therapist that I was being abused by my foster mother, and my therapist told my foster mother because she was a social worker. And when I got back to the house, she dropped me down a flight of stairs. So my association with when you tell people that you need help, the repercussions is worse than what that you went in for. Then the second time is I had a grief counselor when I lost my children, and they sent me someone who told me how to feel instead of asking me how I feel.
Exactly.
And what they could do.
Right.
And brought me all of these pamphlets. I was like, I'm going to smack you with this paper.
Not understanding that.
I wasn't saved yet.
Yeah.
Even if I was.
See? I wasn't either.
Oh, you wasn't
I
in
wasn't.
Girl,
no.
we out here. Listen.
And that time I didn't. I didn't like them.
Yeah.
And
We get it.
this little girl, like, but what they don't understand is you and I both lost children.
Yeah.
However, the way you grieved your children, and the way I grieved,
Different.
is different. The love you have for your child and the love I have for my child was different. Your babies, you had twins. So they could both kicked on one side and one side, left and right. Mine just could kick on one side. So it's like, how can you tell me how I feel when you're not in my shoes?
Yeah.
You don't know how I feel because I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I should be feeling.
Right.
You know, I have these other children and I feel like I'm neglecting them because I got to take care of this one that's in the hospital, can't do anything for himself. But you're going to tell me how I feel? No. I always tell people when they come to me for counseling, I'm here to assist you. Not to help you, to assist. We work together.
Yes.
We work together.
That part.
Okay? Because I'm not going to always be there. I have to give you the tools you need to be able to function when I'm not there.
Yeah.
What people do is they handicap other people. And I'm learning that they handicap other people because of their insecurities. And that could be a counselor. That could be a teacher. That could be a pastor. It could be your mother.
Yeah.
I need this. I need to feel like I'm somebody. Somebody actually depend on me. How about you depending on yourself? How about you loving you? How about it's okay. I've been talking a lot on social media about not feeling guilty about honoring your loved ones that transitioned.
Correct. Yeah.
I realized I stayed in the depressed state that I was in because I felt guilty. Because first of all, can I just be honest with y'all? I'm going to be honest with y'all.
Please.
The guy I was with, sweetheart. He was a sweetheart. He was so nice. But God told me not to be with him. Straight up. That's not who I have for you. Straight up. Can I continue to be honest? I never told no one this. But I know someone's going to need this because Satan is using this situation to hold them hostage. I remember having an argument with Samory's father. And I had several abortions before Samory throughout the years. And I'm sorry, Mom, but yeah, now you know. Stop. And I remember saying, God, looking out my window, I remember what I had on at the time of day. And some more, I said, God, I promise you that I won't get another abortion. Just take this baby.
Wow.
I said it. Those are my exact words. And when I say it haunted me for years, it haunted me. To recently, a few years ago. And one day I went to tell his father, and I said, no, Steph, you can't tell him that because he's not, first of all, in the mental place that you're in, because this was his only child. Never had a woman pregnant. Only child. I still had Brian and Diamond. And I said, God, did I curse my own child? Wow. And I lived with this for years, holding myself hostage until I said, no longer would I let you hold me hostage.
Yeah.
I did say that. And it came from an angry place.
Yeah.
A place of emotions. Did I mean that? Of course not.
Right.
So I had to have this self-talk with myself. Yeah, yes, I have self-talks. I do. I have to have self-talks with myself.
Yeah.
Because I have to hear what I'm feeling. I have to. That's me. I don't know about y'all. I have to hear what I'm going through. I have to work it out. And then I go, okay. So I said, you know what? Satan, enough is enough. Enough is enough. It's been 15, 17, 18 years, whatever it was, 20 years. I said, enough is enough. Yes, I said it. I forgave myself for saying it.
Right.
And now it's time to move on.
Correct.
That's why I could talk about it now.
Yeah.
That's why I could talk about it.
I appreciate you saying how long the process was.
Oh, it was long.
Because I think there is especially in this instant gratification, culture that we're in, is, okay, it happened. It should, the residue of the experience should be over.
Never. You gotta forgive yourself first.
You gotta. Now, here's the thing, and even after you forgive yourself, there is a process that happens with forgiveness that is first and foremost for you, and then the benefit is for external.
Yes.
It is first and foremost for you. It is for your heart. It is for your mindset. It is for your perspective. It is for how you then have relationships, communicate, and behave afterwards. It is accompanied with accountability. It is accompanied with not allowing, like you said, like the enemy to come in and make these suggestions of thought to tell you that God, would do these things. Like, you have to then match that stuff with the character of God. Part of some of the self-negative talk that we have with ourselves, in that we will put forth on God, is because we actually we don't have a real relationship with him, nor do we read his word enough to know his character. So we will start to blame situations and different things on him because it had to be you. It had to be you. It couldn't be the right circumstances of situations that allowed that situation to happen. And then also dealing with all that we don't know in the face of what we do.
Right.
And that space is difficult because we feel like that why is healing. Why is not healing?
It's not healing at all.
Because even if you found out why, it still wouldn't heal you.
That's right.
It still wouldn't. It wouldn't even provide the comfort that you think it would.
Right.
Because and I was like, and if you don't believe me, think about situations where you got into a terrible argument with someone that you really loved and you really cared for, and then years later you finally had a conversation with them and you figured out the why behind the reason why they said what they said and they did what they did and where they were from there. Did it remove the effects of the pain?
Exactly.
Did it change it? No. It allowed you to maybe understand where they came from, but there's something about it already being done that it doesn't remove that stage in that space. So I encourage people not to get in bondage with the why that you think is going to release you, because it doesn't.
Right. Not at all.
It just doesn't. I wish that once we knew the why, if we had the ability to find out the why, that it would be a miracle pill that would remove all those things, but it's not. And it's not. And I want to just go back to a portion of what you said where you go, we went through the same experience, but we had different experiences. And what we know is that we can minister to people who have gone through what we've gone through where others cannot.
Cannot.
It is a hard pill, I think, to swallow sometimes, to know that sometimes what you're going through, that is the hardest thing that you're going through, is not for you, but it's because of someone else. And you almost want to say, God, I need you to go pick somebody else. I don't know if I think I said it.
Yeah. I feel like, God, like, come on, dude. Like, enough is enough.
Yeah.
But that's saying, you go through what you go through for someone else. No. I go through what I go through for me so I can help someone else.
Correct.
Because guess what? If I put that in my head that I'm going through this for someone else, I'm going to be like, I ain't doing this. I don't know that person. I don't care about that person. But when I put in my head that I have to get something out of this, I'm going to learn something from this.
For sure.
then it's like, okay, it's all worth it now. It's all worth it. So I had to start looking at situations like that too. Because I don't know about you, but there's nothing I go through that God don't show up and be like, okay, my daughter Jewel. Yeah, I know Jewel. Jewel been in and out the hospital from 8 months old until Jewel was probably 12 years old. It took me about 6 years to realize, first of all, we going to the same hospital. Most of the time we have the same doctors. Every time I minister to someone, Jewel asthma just come under control. We could have been there for 8 hours. It's always an assignment. So now when I walk out the house, I walk out of the house looking for my assignment. Every single day, my prayer is, God, I am your open vessel. Use me. So one day, Jewel was crying. She's like, Mommy, why God is making me sick? I said, Mama, it's a part of your ministry. And she said, what? I said, Ma, do you realize every time we go to Brookdale, Mommy ministers to someone, Mommy pray for someone, and then your asthma, your lungs just open up and we going. So now, after we had that conversation, when we would go to the hospital, she's like, Mommy, you found your assignment yet? I'm like, nope. And then I'll go, that's the assignment right there. And I'll go talk to that mother or to that father or to that child or to that nurse or that doctor. And then Jewel will be like, I'm ready to go now, Ma. So you have to know your assignment. And you also have to know that everybody's not your assignment.
Truth.
Everyone is not your assignment. It took me a long time because, the old school, you saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost. You're here to help everyone. Nope, stop. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
I am assigned to certain people.
Correct.
And those are my assignments and those who I will be helping. And when God say, help this one too over here, I'll be like, all right, you sure that's my assignment? Because, I'm ready to go right now. They're like, yeah. We have to know our assignments.
Yeah.
So very important to know our assignments.
Listen. There has been many a times where I got drowned in other people's need of my gift. And because I was not asking God what my assignment was, I still remember calling. I remember calling my my brother / my producer over there. I called him up and I was so sad, tired and exhausted. And I asked him, I said, it was a particular person who I felt like they came and was like siphoning the gas out of my car. And because of who the person was who was doing it, it hurt me different.
Of course.
I'm like, because if you're a stranger and you just see it, it's different. But when you know me and you see me, but your need for what I have in me is more important than me. And I asked him, I'm like, bro, why they do me like that? Like, why do I feel like I'm this gas station for people who I shouldn't? Because here's the thing, when you are assigned to a situation or someone or whatever, it ain't my strength I'm using. Right. That's how you know the difference. Yes. It's not my strength I'm using. Yes, ma'am. So I'm like, and what I got to say to you, I'm like, the style of the way that I can deliver something is used. I was like, but the message ain't mine, right? I'm like, I have a message for you. Here you go. Right. And that's where the strength, the energy, or whatever, and that's why you almost feel like you like you powered down, right? Yep. And I asked him, and he said something hard. He said, "'Cause you allowed him." I was like, first of all, watch your mouth. Don't talk to me like that. It's true.
That's what we do.
But he said because you allowed them, and he was like, when you recognize that, he said, it's okay for you to say no. Yes. It's okay for you to say no. My pastor actually said to me one time. He said, it's a very dangerous thing for people to see your gift before you do. I was like, he said, that's why you're frustrated. He said, because they see what's in you and you're not paying attention to it.
You want to suppress it.
You want to. Because here's the thing, because I know what it then will require.
Yes.
Because once you acknowledge it, once you acknowledge that this is what I am designed purpose for, you got to take the good, the bad, the ugly, the I don't understand, that I don't get it, why this, or whatever the case may be, that this is what I'm here for. And you also, just like God says, hey, you have to invite me in, you can uninvite people who are not supposed to be like, listen, I don't care if it's a group of people and I have a message for one person in that group and the other one's like, oh, well, do me next. I ain't no circus act. That's not what I'm here for. I have it for Jessica. I'm sorry, Melissa. Like, that's not the way this works.
Right.
And being able to say, God, hey, mission on for you, also releases you, because guess who gets equipped? Guess who gets filled? Guess who gets attended to? Because you say yes. Now, sometimes we say yes and it feel like we said no.
Yeah, I'd be like, God, come on, stop playing.
We're gonna talk about that part.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, I think it was one of the young ladies at our church. We had like all night prayer, and she did a thing, and she said, Jesus, can you tell me why it feels like I told you no when I said yes? I got up, felt it in my spirit. And I was like, that part. Can we? I was like, get me the answers. Now, where my notepad at? Because I need to know. And what it really is, well, now you have to struggle with flesh and spirit. Now you have to do the tug of war with that thing that doesn't want you to have that posture.
Right.
I don't want you to really function in the fullness of who Stephenie is called to be. I don't want you to be the change agent that is a disruptor in a community where they want you to be docile.
Right.
Like, I don't want you to open your mouth and say, yeah, I have a master's degree in social work, when you should be just a baby mama on the corner, loud and talking crazy. You should be, because you know what I mean? You came from nothing financially and things like that. But here's the problem. When you have an upbringing like you did, where the money might have been low, but the richness was plentiful in spirit and in love, it's hard to keep that seed down.
Right. Absolutely. And you can run, but it's going to come full circle. You can sit there and say, well, I'm going to be depressed. I remember one day I said that. I said, well, God, you can't use me if I'm depressed. How you make yourself depressed? How you make yourself depressed?
Yeah.
Somebody will call me like, what's wrong with you? I don't know, girl. I don't know. Be like, you don't know? No, I don't know. You don't want to go out? No. I was literally, I promise you, making myself depressed because I did not want to follow what God had for me to do.
Right.
And I'm just like, Stephenie. And it was fear also, because even when I was in the world, God was using me.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're in the club, right, God?
Oh, for sure.
So you're going to just tell me to tell this person that?
For sure.
Or you're going to have someone from a bikers club that everyone knows that this biker club is cray-cray. So you're just going to have the woman walk up to me and say, you don't belong here. You different from us. Not from everybody else in here, from us.
Stephenie, I'm telling you.
The God we serve.
Listen, listen, we're going to talk about it. I was at a party, and I was so excited because I don't go to, you be calling me. I don't go to parties.
Can't get her out from nowhere.
I don't go to parties, but this time I was like, yo, I'm grown. I'm going out.
Big grown.
big grown. I'm going out at this backyard pool party. First of all, black people pool party is funny because ain't nobody in the pool.
Nobody, because we can't swim.
Not even that we can't swim. They was like, I'm not getting my hair wet. Oh, but at this party, I'm so excited. I'm like, finally, I'm out. The music is good. I'm like dancing and whatever. And there is this lady.
He's on assignment, baby.
Who's sitting on the stairs to the house. And I'm like, no, Jesus, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for my two-step. I'm here for my two-step, Lord. That's what I want to do. That's not what I'm here for. And he goes, she has cancer. And she's scared to tell her son, I want you to pray for her. You gonna say no? Because now you're trifling. Are you gonna say no? Okay. So here I go. I am praying for this woman. But you know how we get. We get loud.
We get loud.
But it don't matter.
Radical prayer.
It don't matter because the music is loud. So who hit me? Right? So I'm praying, warring in the spirit for this woman, not only for her healing, but for her community with her family. And I wasn't paying attention to the DJ anymore. And the DJ got to the part where he goes, and let the crowd participate. And all you hear is, in the name of Jesus. And here's the thing. The lady looked at me and she's just like, because this is where we at. I ain't gonna stop now. You already heard me.
That's right. That's right.
And my friend came up to me and she was like, I love you.
That's right.
And she said, I knew I shouldn't have brought you here. She said, it's time for you to go home. She sent me home.
Your work was done.
She put me in the cab.
That's all right. Your work was done. Your work was done.
She said, can't take your Holy Spirit behind nowhere. She put me in the cab and she sent me home. And Liam was like, what happened, babe? I thought you was going to the party. I was like,
Jesus stepped in. And that's all she wrote.
And I had to go. And that doesn't mean that you can't have fun and all this stuff. That's not what we're saying. Like, you're supposed to live your life and have a joyous one.
I have a great time. I would pray down the house.
Yeah.
And then I'll don't put on no club music and don't put on no reggae.
Listen.
I'm just saying.
You're gonna get this back up.
What?
But I'm like, there's a journey that doesn't have like this smooth story to it. It is layered. It is complicated, but I don't want to leave people with the nuances of all of these like hard spaces. Can you talk about the moments of where you just felt God's love hit you?
Now you want me to get all emotional.
I mean, we're here.
She just wanted me to cry, y'all, because anytime I just thinking about the many times that I thought he wasn't there, but he was there.
Yeah.
Because God is so good. And I tell people, anytime I do an interview or anything, and I start crying, don't think these are tears of sorrow.
Right.
Because when I look back over all that I've been through, and I'm just like, I know I should have been dead. I know I should have been in somebody's G building. The time that I really felt God's presence was when I planned to take my life and my son's life. And God was like, no, you have so much purpose. We're going to fast forward to about 8 years ago when my daughter almost died in her sleep. And we didn't know. And the person who made her come back was Samory. So my daughter never seen her brother, not even a picture of her brother. This is when I know it was a God. This is when I really, really knew that I had to stop playing with God and all he have for me and my children. Jewel ran in my room and Jewel said, Mommy, I got to tell you a story. I had a dream. I got to tell you this dream. And I said, Jewel, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I said, Jewel, wait, relax, calm down. She was wheezing bad, like gasping for air. Mm-hmm. And I said, Jewel, calm down. And I touched her. She was burning up. Her fever, when I took her temperature, was 104. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my, and this was pre-COVID. I was like, oh my God. And she kept telling me about this dream. I calmed her down. I gave her treatments. And she went to sleep. So once she went to sleep, that let me know that she's been having asthma attacks for hours. She was exhausted. The next day, she was like, Mommy, I have to tell you my dream. So I was like, okay, tell me your dream. I'm dressing her, take her to her doctor. She said, I saw Samory. You saw who? Who you saw? I said, I saw Samory. I said, where did you see Samory? He said, in my dream. I wanted to go play with him, but he told me I couldn't. He said, if you come over here to play with me, I'm not going to play with you, which made her turn back. He said, Mommy and Brian and Diamond going to be sad if you come and play with me. She said, so I came back. And of course, as a mother, you got to keep the straight face. Like, oh, okay, that's a nice dream. But, Jewel, if someone that's deceased come to you, you never go to them and, have the whole story. It wasn't until she was older that I explained to her, like, Mama, you was dying in your sleep. You was dying in your sleep. That's when I realized that there is a God. Mm. And it's not only a God, but God loves me. Mm. And even though I went through all that pain, he sees me. He sees my children. Mm-hmm. He knows who I am. You know that song, He Knows My Name? Yeah. I never understood that song until, he knows my name. And I'm not saying my story is your story. I'm not saying that at all. I just want to tell you, God loves you. No matter what you're going through, God loves you. God wants to restore your peace and your joy. He wants to restore your peace and your joy. Just allow him to. Now, I know some of my stories, you look and be like, oh my God, she's been through so much. I don't regret anything I've been through because it has made me the strong woman I am today. And again, because I have been through all that I've been through, I'm able to minister to people, talk to people in a way that other people cannot. I can touch them in a way that other people cannot.
And we thank you for it. I'm so grateful that you're not a hoarder.
Oh no, I really lose my mind.
Right?
If I did. I would really lose it.
Because there's a reason why there is a power in testimony. I gotta know that I'm not alone.
Yes.
I gotta know that I ain't the only one who has had this experience. It's really hard to have hope if I am the only one who has ever experienced what I have experienced, because there is no blueprint of after.
Right.
Listen, I thank you so much.
I thank you for having me.
Listen, being vulnerable, being open, being real, being honest, and encouraging. Because when you say it, I believe you.
Wow.
Because sometimes when people say it, it just sounds like cliche. It just sounds like people, they just are regurgitating words that sound good. And I'm like, I understand your intention, but I just don't believe you.
Right.
And if I don't believe you, I'm not. You said it for the moment, and as soon as I leave your presence, I'm back to where I was, because it was just a good vibration.
Yeah, I don't want that.
But when you say it, I believe you. And I have seen people turn, change, step up, be like, oh, Stephenie, you're right. I get it. And I thank you for being that for this audience, because I already know that everyone who is assigned to listen will hear what they needed, be able to take it, hold it, and go, that was my confirmation. That was what I needed to hear. That's what I needed to understand. You too. She looks like me. She sounds like me. And she knows what hurt is like me.
Yes. And don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Still a work in progress.
Oh, we all.
I still got a lot of hurt, you know, but I worked through it.
Right.
And this is the thing. How I get through it is knowing that God is there with me.
Right.
When I lost my son, I felt alone. Even though I had family, I felt alone. So that's why it was easy for Satan to be in my head, because God was nowhere to be found in my life. Now that God is in my life, when I go through things, it's like I have this thing. It's called a 5-minute pity party. 5 minutes. That's Satan. That's all you get. And I got that from this book called Praying to Change Your Life. And she spoke about having a 5-minute pity party. When she was diagnosed with cancer, I said, the devil, I would have had a 25, 30-day pity party. But when she broke it down, she said she wasn't giving Satan more than 5 minutes. So I got this thing, y'all. What I do is pick my timer on when I go through something. 5 minutes. I do the woes me, the ugly cry, oh God, and this is what you gonna do, and I be doing this, and I be doing that. And when that phone go off, I shake it off and say, what's next, God? Satan, get thee behind me. What's next, God? What's my next step? You allowing me to go through this for a reason. What's the next step? And then I move on. But don't think I'll be having I'll be having them ugly cries.
Yeah, we have them. Yeah, we have them. I'm good at them, okay? A little theatrical, okay? With mine, you know, like if I'm going to give it to you, I'm going to give it to you with gusto.
Yeah.
But thank you. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for you're always willing to share, but I value what it is you do and how you do it. So listen, I know that you are going to be changed, heard, and seen by this. And that's why I say what I say at the end of every episode, because the desire to and need to be seen, heard, listened to, loved, and blessed by God is necessities. So I want you to remember that I see you. I love you. I'm listening.